Hey guys, this is Steve here with another CG Geek tutorial, and this is part 2 of my Dirt Road Fall Scene tutorial series. In the last part we got our tree set up and we got our base mess set up and all textured up nicely and ready to go. So today we will be adding some gravel, some more bushes and foliage, and finishing up the scene with all of its assets. And then I think in part 2 we will do the rendering and compositing. So let's do this. First I'm going to add in gravel on the dirt road. So you can see right now if we go rendered, we have it textured nicely, but it's not enough detail. It doesn't look quite real yet, and there's not enough texturing and rocks on the road. So I'm going to add some rocks in 3D. So to do that I'm going to jump to layer 2 here and go to top view, shift S, cursor to center. And all of these little rocks will be made out of nothing but a cube. So shift A and add in a cube, and let's move this up we'll tab into edit mode and then move it up along the Z axis holding control. There we go. So it's right along that point there. That is how we're going to be able to rotate it around that point. So that's good. So scale it down quite a bit, and let's modify this into a little stone. So make sure you're in vertex edit here. Select these vertices here. Let's choose this option so we can see through our mesh and select through our mesh, and move this down into kind of a stone-like shape. So something like that. Pull that out a little bit there. Top view. Let's box select this. Rotate it. You know, I'm just kind of going kind of crazy with the rock here, just so it's not looking like a box, but it's looking like a rock. So do something like that will really help. Kind of pull this out that ways. Alright, it's too flat. Lift it up, give it some thickness. There we go. Kind of a little pebble rock, you know? Something good. That's not too bad. Go like that. Go like that. Alright, there's a nice little pebble rock. We can smooth shade it. And let's make a few of them. So drag it over there, Shift D, make another one. And just try and give it some variation, you know, maybe just take this whole side, scale it up now, and go for like a longer shaped rock or something. Might be kind of cool. Let's grab these two vertices and pull them up. Whoop, and pull that one out. Just giving us some randomness. That's kind of squarish, but it's not too bad. There we go, and maybe pull this in to make it less looking like a square. Square is what you want to stay away from. So we'll go long and rectangle. There we go. And Shift D, we'll make one last final rock. And let's make this one kind of triangular shaped maybe. Something like that. Scale on the Z. And yeah, give a little height to it maybe. There we go. That's not too bad. Pull that over here. And pull it up. Okay, that should work. That should do it. So we got some random kind of pebbles here. Scale along the X a little bit. Oh, look at that one now. Scale on the Y. Maybe scale on the Z. Just kind of giving it some randomness. Alright. That should do it. And let's unwrap these with just tabbing in edit mode and use Smart UV Project. That's all we gotta do. It's the cheap and easy poor man's version of unwrapping. Smart UV Project. There we go. And I'm gonna give these a quick material. Let me just open up my node editor here. Go to node editor, new material, and Shift A, add in a texture, image texture, like every other texture we do, and just open up a this quartz texture here. In the description you will find links to these textures, and I think that's all we have to do really. Let me see what this looks like rendered. That's fine. That's all we have to do for that, but what we're going to do is give these our randomized material, like we did earlier in part 1 with our leaves. So I'm going to add in a mix shader here. I'm going to change this to be overlay. Shift A, add in a converter or a vector mapping node. And no, not a vector mapping node, sorry. A converter color ramp. And plug the color in the bottom here. And then a input object info. So this is where we get our random material from. If we choose random and plug that into the factor of the color ramp, and then have that overlaid the texture here with like a 0.8, we can give every object a random material. Now the material will be randomizing between whatever we have in this slot. So let's give it some realistic rock type of colors. This will be kind of a sandier rock. This will be kind of maybe a reddish rock, something like that. Okay, now control, let's add in some more here, just clicking in there with right click. Maybe kind of a sandy rock like that. Anything that might be a rock color, maybe a little gray color like that. And maybe just another one in here. Like so. There we go, that's some nice rock variation. I might want this one to be a little bit pinkier, maybe kind of like a pinky rock. Alright, there we go. And so now if I render this, this will be one of those random materials. But if I go solid view, select these, and then this one last. Alright, that's important. Then go Control L, make links materials. They'll have the same material now, and if I go rendered, you can see they're randomizing which color they are. So very cool, and that is how we get our randomized rocks. This one might be a little long. Let me scale on the Y just a tad. Okay. Alright, so let's put these across our road on layer 1. So again, like before, we're going to make a new vertex group. So new vertex group, go top view, bring up our toolbar, and go to vertex, whoops, like that, and then whoops, just like that, and go to vertex weight paint. And we're going to create a new one. This one will be called something like pebbles. There we go. And add, there we go. Okay, now the pebbles I want on the road, and what I want to kind of do with these is not put any pebbles along two like treads where maybe like a car might have come through. So to do that, I'm just going to start off by giving this all pebbles in here. Pebbles, 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 pebbles. Very good, and that looks like it should be good. We don't have to do the whole thing, just near the camera. You won't see them further back. So something like that. Now I'm going to go subtract. Maybe take these back a little bit. Whoops, not so much. Command Z. There we go. And make my brush much smaller. And now in camera view, it might help to start in camera view. I'm going to go where I want my two treads to be. So right here, I want a tread. So I'm subtracting. Whoops, that's too much. Subtract a row in here. And a row over here. If I'm not getting enough detail or options, I might have to subdivide my mesh one more time. And it looks like I might have to. So I'm just going to tab it at edit mode, select everything, and W, subdivide. There we go. Now we should have enough detail in here. I can always turn the amount of subsurf down if I want to compensate for that. But now I should have enough detail to, in weight paint, be able to subtract. Alright, so let me just go, whoops, I just changed my group there. I don't want to do that. Pebbles. Now I'm just going to kind of drag in a straight line where you imagine the tire treads might be on this road. Keep them as close together as possible, and you'll get something like that. Then do the same thing over here. And you're just getting a nice tire tread-like look, and it will look a lot nicer in your render then, when it seems like the pebbles are not placed where the tires go a lot, because you kind of notice that the road gets flatter. If you've ever been on a dirt road, you'll notice the road gets flatter where tires are on driving a lot. So, whoops, I was giving it just a little bit of variation there. Went a little too much, but there we go. Now we should be good to go. Give it a little variation here and there, but should be good to go. And let's add in another particle system. So, new particle system, and I forgot to quick make these into a group, but let's just do that. Box select them, Control G makes the group, and T to open up our toolbar, and then we can name them pebbles. Cool. So now back into our mesh mode on our ground mesh, we will choose hair, we will choose advanced, and we will give it the group pebbles. Pebbles. Oops, that's trees. Pebbles. There we go. You can see them all over our mesh there. And I want to just choose pebbles in our vertex group. So now they're all over the area we want them. And I'm going to choose random and not jittered, because that'll give them a better random look. I'm going to make them a lot smaller, a whole lot smaller, something like that. I'm going to choose rotation, and then I think I can go rotation here. I had a little bit of an issue with this in the last video, but change the phase of them. Oh, that seems to be not really doing what I want. But it's okay. We'll get by. Let's just change the random here a little bit. Random size them up a little bit more. And make them a little bit smaller yet. 0.08. Give them a lot of random size as well. Very good. Now I'm going to choose children. Okay. Children will basically add some more rocks around each rock and make it quicker and easier to render because there's less to calculate that ways. So I'm just going to choose 7 to display and to render. And maybe turn the radius down a little bit here to be about a 0.1. Okay, that pulls them in a little bit nicer. And then give them a little bit of random size here. And maybe pull the clumping in just a tad bit. Okay, let me see what that does. A little bit more. Just alright, there we go. And that's looking pretty good. I'm not really seeing my tires though, so I think my radius might be a little high still. Maybe 0.05 would be better. Nah, that's not enough. 0.1. Very good. And I believe we'll see the tires when we add more rocks in here. So we don't really have to worry about that too much. So that will be good. And I'm going to crank the amount to be way up, but I don't want to have to display all these. Whoops, that's not way up. We'll go that many. And it will take a little bit of time and put a ton of them across some mesh there. But a little big, a little big. I'll maybe lower that down for now, I guess. Maybe that wasn't too smart. Double click it, and we'll just drop it down to 10,000 again until we change the size. Boom, 10,000. Alright, and now let's change the size to be a little bit smaller yet. I'm gonna go 0.06. Very good. Maybe 6.6. Oops. 0.07. Whoa, 0.007. Okay. There we go. And let's change the browning emotion a little bit. Emotion? What? Force a little bit? Okay. Amount a little bit, I think is what I was trying to say. Alright, and that looks pretty nice. Should be good. You can change the other here. I don't think that really changes anything. The rotation here doesn't really change anything though. And let me see, what happens if I choose normal here? It might not be as good. Well, let me see what we're getting here. What we getting here? Zoom in a little bit. They seem pretty nice, like normal. On normal. We can probably do that. Some of them are up in the air there. I don't know why that is. Try a different seed, maybe. There we go. That's looking pretty good. And let's crank the phase up here a little bit. And there we go. Some of them are still kind of in the air over there. So changing between our particle children settings here. Maybe turning clump off. That's not helping. Turn it back up. Maybe minus is what I want. Yeah, that's what we want. And the radius might need to be just a tad smaller. So 0.09 or 0.08. Kind of pull those down a little bit, and you probably won't see them right now if we rendered. So that should be okay. We'll crank the amount up again. And first I'm going to turn it off though so it doesn't lag. Then go back to my particle settings and crank them up quite a bit. Go 6,000 for now. Save. And let's quick render that. So just gonna do a quick render, and we'll see what it's looking like. Alright, so there's a very quick early render. You can see our trees are coming in pretty nicely, maybe a little bit large, but our rocks look like they're all on edge. And I think that's because I changed it to be normal. And let me just change that back to be hair velocity. Okay, and turn that down. Very good. They might also be just a tad bit large. I don't know. Maybe turn the random size up a little bit. And then they're also a little bit dark. So I'm going to switch over here and select that material. And basically I can just take this color right here, or this color here coming out. Instead of changing it all, you know, I can just come in here with a hue saturation and turn the value up a little bit. And that should help. We can tweak that if we need to. But it should be good. So, that should do it for that. And I think we might be ready to get on to the next thing. So for the next part, I'm going to add in some shrubs along the side. And this is done with using... I think I'll do ferns next, actually. And so this is going to be done using the same thing we did before with our images as planes. So make sure you have enabled this add-on, images as planes, and we can just Shift A, add in an image as a plane. Let's choose our fern branch here. Texture will be in the description. And tab into edit mode, switch to textured view, or let me go object mode, textured view port, and drag it so the origin, tab into edit mode, drag it so the origin point is at the base there. Excellent, that's what we want. And now what I'm going to do is tab into edit mode and object mode, rotate it like so. And I'm going to put a few cuts in this mesh so we can kind of bend them. So to do this, I'm just going to Control R and scroll my mouse wheel and get a few options like that. You click and you put the cuts in the mesh. So now I can take this part, and I think I'll turn on proportional editing, this setting right here, and I can kind of pull this up like so. And it does its work. So that's cool. And yeah, I'm just going to Shift D, duplicate this a few times, rotate it around the Z axis on top view port, and then scale it down a little bit, and maybe give it a little bit of randomness. You need to change the proportional editing to be connected there. Very good. And kind of give it a little bit of variation, scale it, move it, rotate it, you know, give it something a little bit random looking. And then Shift D, rotate along the Z one more time. There we go. And scale it down, and move it down, and rotate. There we go. Some variation. Let's turn smooth shading on these real quick. All these different objects. And if I go rendered, what do we get? It looks pretty good. Not too bad. A little bit off, but not too bad. I think this one could be, if I select the middle vertices here, I can pull them out a little bit and kind of go like that, and that might be better. But let me change the material a little bit on these now. So I have the transparent material set up like default, but I will also want to Shift A, add shader, and I want to add in a translucent shader. Pop that in there. That will become from the color. And now I'm going to add the mix shader, mix shader, and the glossy shader. Plug that in the bottom. And very small amount of this, 0.03, and that should be fine. But now what I'm going to do is give this the random material as well. So, mix, color mix, overlay, very good. Shift A, add in vector converter color ramp, and input object info. Randomize it, put the color on the bottom, crank it up, and we're ready. Let's give it some kind of a dead looking fern, like maybe some of them are kind of dying a little bit. It's fall, you know, so maybe some of these things are dying down a little bit. And then give one some green as well. And then Control click in the center and add a little variation in there. Boom. Cool. And make sure this is connected to the translucent shader as well, and the diffuse. Whoops, right here. Yeah, there we go. Let me see what this looks like rendered now. Woo, they're not right. Not right. They're all looking like the. Let me see. What is it? What is it that's messed up in here? Aha, I see. Our diffuse texture needs to be earlier on in here. So, connect this add shader to the mix shader and put the diffuse shader back here. The image has to go into the diffuse and into the mix. I hope that wasn't too confusing, but this is how you want to set up. The overlay going into your diffuse, into your mix, into your add, and then into your transparent. And then you see we get this randomized looking fern color. Very cool. And you could add a little bit of bump to this as well. It's not hard. Vector bump. The color will control the height. Strength will be low, 0.1, and then plug this into your shaders. Boom, boom, boom. Cool. And you can see we got some of that bump coming in there. That is good. And this is going to be its own separate little group. So we're going to box select all this, go Control G, and just name these ferns. And there's our ferns. Boom, boom. Ready to be used. Awesome. Now I'm also going to make a little bit of grass. So some grass that will be coming in along the sides of the road, and that will look good. So I'm going to import images as planes. And I'm going to open up this texture of leaves that is actually multiple blades of grass. If you go rendered, you can see. So I'm going to switch to textured view, okay, and pull that out like so, and pull it over like that, and open up my UV image editor. Cool. Now I'm going to open up that image in here, the leaves one. Very good. And I want to make this basically one blade of grass. So I'll start with the UV image editor and scale this down along the X, scale it down along the Y, and rotate it to be right over this blade of grass. Scale along the X a little bit. Alright, and that looks good. Now you can see it's really weird over here. This is just going to be scaled down along the X and scaled down on the Y to match that. Very good. So there's one blade of grass, but I want multiple blades. So while in edit mode still, I'll Shift D and drag this over. So we have them two in edit mode. And I can just grab this now and move it over to a different blade of grass. So very simple. And maybe scale it up a little bit. And then scale on the Y a little bit. And then I'll have to scale this mesh along the Y, or Z a little bit. Let me see. Scale on the Z. Oops. Yeah, scale on the Y. I'm sorry, I forgot that I was laying down flat. Cool. So we got two blades, and I'm just going to do this one more time to get this kind of broken blade over there. So Shift D, move it over, and then grab, whoops, Option H, accidentally hit it. Select just this one. So L to select a certain mesh, and let me move this over here and scale down. Boom, boom. Very good. Very good. And maybe select it with L and scale it down a little bit. That one could be smaller. And now let's make a little bunch of grass. So I have this one here, and I'm going to go Control R, put a cut in the middle, put a cut in the middle of this one, and a cut in the middle of that one. Alright. Now this would be easier if they're all rotated upwards. So I'm just going to select them all in object mode, rotate. There we go. Cool. Now grab the top ones, kind of pull them out. Boom. Then let's L, select this blade, move it over to the origin point there, pull it down to be right on it, rotate it around the Z axis. There you go, and pull it out. Boom. Very good. Cool. And same with this one. L to select it, move it over here, rotate it around the Z, grab these top vertices and pull them out. Boom. So, should we have a little bunch of grass there? We can smooth shade it. And in rendered viewport, it looks like this. A few blades of grass. Not too bad. Needs a little bit of work. In the material settings. So this will be fine for simple grass. We don't need to make a huge bunch of it. Don't need too much of it. Node editor though, and let's give this a little bit of nicer materials. So grab our image texture and diffuse, pull it out, Shift add a shader, mix shader, shader glossy shader. I've done this a lot, so I hope I'm not going too fast for you guys. Plug the glossy in the bottom, make it a very small amount. Shift add shader, and Shift add shader, translucent shader. Plug the translucent in the bottom. And we need to do the same thing to randomize the color because it looks great. I love it when it's randomized. So plug that in there, give it an overlay look, Shift add a converter color ramp, and an input object info. Random, connect it to the bottom. Turn the factor up, and let's give it some color. So the first one will be nice and green. One in the middle, we'll control click to add one. Will be kind of a dead blade of grass, something like that. And then maybe this would be a darker green-ish, tannish, something. And maybe add another one in there, give it a little bit more vibrant color. Add another one in there and give it a little lighter color. Just a lot of variations will make it look good. So if I render this now, boom, you can see we get that. An issue, but not a big issue. We can fix it. Basically this is happening because the translucent color hasn't been set up to our overlay. There it is, and there it's working. And you can see it's working too to randomize the color. Very good. So that's good. That is very good. Maybe make this even more. Boom, and we should be ready to roll. We don't need to add any bump mapping to the grass. It's so small you wouldn't even be able to tell. Wouldn't be able to tell. So let me quick name this with N. Bring up this, and we can just name this grass. So it's easy to find. Close off those with N and T, and move them over, and they're ready to be used. So that is that. And for the last bit here, I'm going to add in a bush. You heard me right, a bush. Shift S, cursor to center. Whoops, Shift S, cursor to center. And add in a sapling. So if you hadn't done this already, because you're on part 2 now, make sure you enabled your sapling add-on. Boom, and have it enabled. And we're going to Shift A, add in our curve, add tree. T, bring up our toolbar here, and let's turn the bevel on. And the bevel resolution can be all the way down on this one because it's going to be smaller. And turn the scale down too, because obviously this is a bush, not a big tree. And let's go to our branch splitting. We can give this a few splits. Oh, not that. Leave the levels on 2. We can give it a few base splits. So we'll go 3, and then give it a smaller base size. Very small base size, something like that will be fine. And let's give it some segment splits. So split that up a little bit there, and split that up some more there. Boom, nice. Let's make it a shorter tree. Let me see, what do we have here? The branch ratio, turn that up a little bit, or down a little bit, I mean. You want it to be like a 0.8, 0.9. Excellent. The down angle can be a little bit more so. Let me change the down angle of the second one here. Boom, pull them down a little bit. Cool. And in branch growth, we can make the length of them a little bit longer and give them a little random length as well. Very nice. Now it's still too tall. This will be changed later. Let me turn the resolution down on these. Make that 3. Make that 4. I think 4 would be good. And again, you can change the taper options here, like I did with the trees, to give a little better results. And now the number of branches. So back in branch splitting, we have way too many branches. Let's make that 20, and that will be better. And let's change the split angle a little bit, because we have that space split, but you're not really seeing it because the split angle is weird. So let me do that. Kind of pull them out a little bit. That looks better. Now branch growth. Let's make the geometry. We want to make the height a little bit smaller. So let's turn the height down. Boom, and then make the radius scale maybe just a little bit bigger. Something like that. Looks kind of bushy. And if you choose a random seed, whoa, you can see lots of randomness. I think that's because the random scale variation here is a little bit too much. So let's turn the scale up a little bit, and then let's see what we get. That's better. Cool. Now I think the branches can be a little bit longer before we finish up here. So let me just do that. Branch growth, length, make them a little bit longer. Okay, cool. And that should do it. So let's save this as a preset like I did before with the tree. We'll do this bushes, export preset. Boom. Preset already exists. Okay, let's name it something different then. Bush 2. There we go. And there's one. Drag it over. Shift A, add tree. We'll choose bush 2, and then a random seed. Boom, 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 boom. Something like that. Might be good, and that's good. So we got our 2 bushes here. Excellent. And we need to texture them up, so I need to quick convert them. Alt-C, mesh from curve. Alt-C, mesh from curve. Tab, select all. U, Smart UV project. Okay? And same here, U, Smart UV project. Now we might want to scale these up a little bit. So bring our window over here. UV image editor. Select all, scale up. Boom, nice and big. Same with this one. Select it all, scale, nice and big. Cool. And a few leaves. We need some leaves. So let's move these out of the way and close our toolbar there. Shift A and add in another plane. This is another branch I have here, right here. Small branches. And this will work well for the branches and the bushes. So let me go rendered. And yeah, basically what I want to do is go solid and switch to textured view. Right there. I want to get this origin point on the back here. So I'm going to tab and move the origin point to be right about there. Very good. And that should be good to go. The material now can basically be the same as the tree material with just a few variations. So what I'm going to do is, this is set to branches 35 right now. And this is our new texture. So I want to grab our old texture, which is branches 25, and set it to that right there. Boom, branches 25. And you see it changes there, but I'm going to hit this button right away, so I'm not changing the old texture we have. Go to my node editor, and basically just take this texture here and change it back now to 35. And so we have the whole material set up, but it's on a different texture. So that should work. If we go rendered, we got nice green leaves there. If I duplicate them, they're brown. If I duplicate them, they're yellow. If I duplicate them, they're yellow. It looks to be working pretty good. Might want a little bit more red in that though. So let me give some nicer, brighter reds here, and drag them around like so. And overlay can be higher. Now if we go rendered, there's green one, orange one, orange one, yellow one, yellow one, yellow one, red one. The red ones aren't really coming in strong enough for my likings, so let me delete all those duplicates that I made, and let's go all the way with the overlay. Let's see what that's looking like. Shifty, 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 shifty. Still not really getting the overlay effect like I want. So you could try like a screen or something as well and maybe get some better results. Let me see what this is looking like. This is a little bit brighter. Or add's kind of like screen. And you can also experiment with some of these to get some really unique results, but not what I'm looking for. I think I'm going to stick with overlay, and it looks the most realistic in my opinion. And boom. Yeah, I'm going to stick with overlay for this case. You could also use color, but I'm going to stick with overlay. And what you can do is basically just, you have your hue saturation value here, crank up the saturation a little bit and change the hue a little bit as well, because the hue is kind of taking out our reds right now. So maybe take the hue down a little bit on this texture, like so. Awesome. So I don't need as much red anymore. And I should be good to go. So, don't need so many duplicates here. Delete them all up. Whoops, not that one. I want to say that one. Delete that one. There's our branch. And I think we're ready to put it on our bushes. So that is one thing I want a quick change, I think, on my tree texture here. Is I have this hue value, hue saturation, and it's kind of taking down my reds too much. So turn that down a little bit. Turn that down a lot on this material, and this one, turn it down just a little bit. Boom. And let's give this a little bit more green. This is for my trees material. Whoa. Not you. You. Alright, that should be good. I don't even have to check it. I'm confident. So let's add in our vertex groups for these. I'm just going to tab into edit mode, or no, go to weight paint. F to make my brush bigger, and paint around the outsides like we did on our tree. Very simple. Boom. Very good. And switch to the next one here. New vertex group. And weight paint. Same old process. Go. And just getting the tips. There we go. Excellent. Let's add in our materials. So, particle systems, new. Gonna be hair. Crazy. Object will be the branches 35, because that is our branches. I'm gonna make them a lot less, just 250 maybe. Give it the weight, the vertex group, and let's give it some advanced options here. Choose advanced. Rotation, normal. And we'll give it some phase and randomness and scale. Bloom. There we go. Some randomness as well. See what that's looking like. That's not too bad. Not too bad. Whenever I say two, it means something's wrong though. I think that they're all pointing. Alright, that's better. That's much better. And that looks pretty cool. I like it. There might be just a little bit too much red, not enough green. So let's kind of pull that back and add another green option, so we get another little bit of green in there. But I like it. It's nice and folly. Folly. There might be too much red still. Let me just delete this one. And leave it a little bit more open-ended. There we go. Very good. That looks nicer. A lot better. Maybe turn the amount here down a little bit. Cool. Turn the hue down too. Alright. That's looking great. Same thing with this one. And we can just copy this particle setting, which is particle setting 7. So, new particle setting. Grab particle setting 7. And then you have to give it the vertex group. Very good. Is that one working good too? If I go rendered, boom, it looks like it's working. It's doing its job. So that's good. And I'm just gonna, whoops, box select these, top view, duplicate them with Shift D, and now convert them. So modifiers, convert, particle systems, delete, and Control J to join it to the center mesh. Boom, boom. Same here. Convert the particle system. Go to my settings here. Delete the particle system, and then with making sure this is the last thing selected, you can tell because it's gold colored. Control J. Excellent. Make a group. Control G. And this name is Group Bushes. Awesome. So I think we're done with the assets for now, really. I don't think we really need to do any more. I did a little bit more in my finished result, but I don't think it's completely necessary anymore. So I think we can set up our modifiers and be done with the assets, the nature the nature assets, really. Yeah. So with our road selected, we go a new particle system. We choose hair, and we choose advanced hair. Whoops, advanced. And let's go group. Let's go bushes. Now we're getting a billion of them. We don't want a billion of them. Turn it down to like 500. And let me turn the view off of these real quick as I set up a vertex group for these bushes. So vertex groups really help with realism. And that's why I'm doing a vertex group for every particle system, because it's quite important to be different from each other. So weight paint. And this is just going to be kind of spotchy, kind of along the sides of the road here. So a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. Whoops, not across there. I think I'm going to turn the subdivisions down on this so the things just work a little faster. There we go. So just put them along the sides of the road, like so. Kind of spotchy. Like I said, boom, boom, boom. That's too much there. Subtract it. Boom, boom. Go back to add. And Shift F to turn the strength down a little bit. Add a little bit lighter textures in here. Boom. And then you subtract this a little bit here. Very good. Add a little bit more in there. Whoops, let's subtract. Add there. Add a little bit more in there. Alright. That looks random and weird, but it will look fine when it's just a placeholder for bushes, really. So turn the view back on the bushes and give it the weight paint, or not weight paint, but vertex group of the bushes. And you see we get that. If we go to camera view, they're too big. So let's change the size down a little bit here. Go 0.4, and then the random size will make them smaller as well. Something like that. Looks good. Rotation. Boom. Choose rotation. And choose rotation up here. Give them just a tad bit of randomness. And randomness in the phase. Whoa. You really can't touch the phase. And which is weird, but I think it might be a bug right now. It's possible it would work for you. If it does, go ahead. If they're looking weird, don't. So, yeah, just don't. And then choose a little bit of random here. And a little bit of random in the Brownian motion here. I think we can make the size a little bit smaller. Maybe 0.36 or something. And cool. Should be good with that. So let's save our project, and that's good with the bushes. So we can turn the view off of that. Make a new vertex group. This one will be called grass. And let's paint it in. So where do we want the grass? Well, we want the grass to be along the sides of the road. So I'm just going to paint along here, like so. Just paint it a few times along the sides of the road. Not focusing so much back here. You know, you can put a little bit back here just so you see it in the distance, but it's most important to be up around the camera. So we do that. Cool. That should be good. So object mode, particle systems, and new particle system. Here, a lot of these are pretty similar in their settings, so I'm just kind of going fast. Hope I'm not confusing you guys, but I think you've done it enough now at this point that you should be able to handle it. Object, and this is called leaf, I believe. Let me see, where do we have it? What is it called? Oh, I think I named it grass. Yeah, I did. Cool. Choose rotation. It's all nicely rotated, like so. Give it some randomness here. That's not really doing anything. Give them some randomness here. Boom. Give them a little bit of smallerness. Change the geometry here. Let me see what that's looking like. Too big. Put the density as grass in the vertex group there, and let's make the size a whole lot smaller. 0.2. Give it some random size. Cool. Now what I'm going to do with these is give them a little bit of children as well. And you can see that looks pretty good actually. But let's turn the clump down a little bit, so a little bit tighter together. And maybe the radius as well. So give that just a 0.15. Cool. And let's give them a 20 or 25 to render. And that should be good. What does this look like right now? Quick save. If I go into rendered viewport, rendered. Oh, those aren't looking too bad. A little bit big maybe, but not too bad. I can turn the Brownian motion up a little bit to get them rotated in a little bit of unique ways, and turn the size down a little bit. We can turn the size down a little bit on the children as well. Just turn the random size up a little bit, and that's not bad. Weight paint, maybe, or yeah, weight paint. Maybe I'll cut these back a little bit. They might be a little bit too much in the middle of the road there. So subtract them back a little bit. There we go. That's better. And that should be good for the grass. Really should be good. Cool. So save that and turn another particle system off for now. So I think we have just one particle system left, and that is the ferns. So, boom, another particle system, hair, advanced. I'll choose random, choose rotation, choose object, and this is fern. Oh, this is a group actually. Fern. You can see they're all rotated wrong. Choose rotation, they'll be rotated nicely upwards. Am I getting everything? Okay, what I have to do with this now is, because it's multiple objects in a group, is I want to just choose whole group, and it will do it right. And give it some random size. Some of them are up in the air though. What the heck is that? Let me see what happens if I change the seed. It's not working. It's not working. So let's go to our fern, wherever it may be. Which layer did I put the fern on? Layer 3, this layer. Okay. And let's just box select them all together and Control J to join them. Excellent. So we have to join them, and then we don't have to worry about the whole group thing because they're all together. Alright, and let's turn the amount of these down a little bit. These can just be like 600. Size looks pretty decent. Some more random size, and maybe just a tad bigger. 0.055, a little bit bigger. And a weight paint is needed. So, ferns in the vertex group. And let's do a weight paint job. So these just come along the edge of the road and look beautiful. So I'm just going to go add and put them in along the sides of the road here. Not going too far from the road. Oops, went a little close to the road there. Subtract and erase it. Go back to add and add in some more ferns because they look awesome. Oh, I hate it when I do that. Subtract, erase it off the road. Cool. Add. Put some more ferns in. Kind of make them like in little patches, because that's kind of how ferns grow. But that's not bad. Put a little patch down there, and then increase that patch a little bit. Cool. And we need to set that up on our vertex group to be, on our particle system to be, oops, not grass, ferns. Cool. Now they're a little bit small looking to me, so I'll probably make them a little bit bigger and maybe add a few more in this area here. There we go. Object mode, and let's change the size up a little bit because now that they're out there, they look a bit small. Cool. Crank the size up a little bit. Something like that. So again, the phase option isn't really working because in part 1, you might have seen I couldn't get the rotation to work. It seemed like it's not working right now. But if it is working for you, go ahead and choose the phase that will spin them around randomly and be kind of good looking. But let's see what this is looking like. Rendered. Alright, we got the ferns growing in nicely, randomizing color, and those look good. I'm happy about those. And should be good. So, they could actually probably come a little closer to the rodent areas. So if I just go weight paint and bring them in a little bit here and there, just because it looks so good. So good. Okay. Alright, I think I said okay and alright enough. But that should be it for the particle systems. Now, it's been a lot of particle systems, but I think we're done with those, and we're ready to get into the rendering, which is going to be the funnest part. But, not necessarily funnest, I guess. I shouldn't say that. It's all been fun. But that will come in part 3 of the tutorial. So that will do it for part 2. We got the rest of our assets done, all the nature spread across our road nicely with our graphs and our ferns and our gravel. And come back to finish your scene in part 3. So I'll see you then.